Hello, hello there. So the new video of the Malecon. Here we're starting off by Venustiano Carranza, right by the side of Lazaro Cardenas Park. This video will show you the full extension of what is now called El Malecon, the Malecon or the Boardwalk. So we're seeing the corner on the left side, the corner of Venustiano Carranza and Olas Altas, which would be the starting point. Here we're going then along the amphitheater that's used in the afternoons from time to time with the folkloric dances and other events. And we'll be advancing northward. This is the southern end of what is now defined as the Malecon. We're crossing Lázaro Cardenas Street, going northward. Right there we can see Burros Bar, and we're going towards Francisco y Madero, which would be the next street. This is what is called the Romantic Zone, which is the area that is south of the downtown area, south of the Cuale River. Normally the Malecon was defined as the area, the boardwalk or the seaside walkway that was between the street called 31 de Octubre, October 31 in the north, which is right beside the Hotel Rosita, the Rosita Hotel, and the Zaragoza Street, which would be the street that was south of the main square. That area was defined as the original Malecon. Since then, there's been an extension going south from Zaragoza to the Cuale River, which is called Malecon II, Malecon II, and then there's a pedestrian bridge over the Cuale River, and then this last part here that goes between the Cuale River and Venustiano Carranza Street by the park, which would be it's just called Malecon II. I mean, also called Malecon. We're going by the Sea Monkey. There's a mix between videos in drone, 360, and these ground videos. This one, the ground video was filmed the 25th of March 2022. The 360 videos, like this one here, that was shot in the 16th of December 2021, and the drone shots were more or less at that time too, December 2021. So they're not perfectly coordinated. The people are different, but in general they match up well. These are shots from built through Google Studio, which show the location of the streets and a general view from above, far above. Here we're about to get to the bridge area. We're seeing Olas Altas. This beach runs from the pier to the river, Cuale River, which we can see here in the left corner. Is called Playas Olas Altas, Playa Olas Altas, the Olas Altas Beach. And from the pier southward towards El Púlpito and what is called Las Pilitas and El Púlpito, the pulpit, that's called Playa de los Muertos or Playa Los Muertos, Los Muertos Beach. We're soon to arrive at the bridge. Right on our right, there's a condominio Molino de Mar. Molino de Agua, sorry. Molino de Agua is the big building there. We're now on the bridge, the pedestrian bridge that goes over the river. Right here on the left corner, on the left side, there's some people that sell fresh oysters if you're interested in that. This bridge goes over the Cuale River and has some staircases going down, staircase going down to the Cuale River Island. We see an interesting shot of the lookout on the bridge. And the mouth of the Cuale River. At the time they were working on the drainage of the river, because they've been working on the bridge, Insurgentes Bridge, that was washed away with the rains in August of 2021. So they're finishing it, and they've been regulating the flow of the river to help in the process. But now that it's soon to be finished, I imagine the river will take its own course and go the way it wants, wherever it wants, which is somewhere here in front of the bridge. Stairs down to the island. There's a lot of different activities and options there on the island. The Cuale River Island and is part of downtown Puerto Vallarta. So we're actually already in the downtown area. The romantic zone would then begin to the south of the southern arm of the river. On the left side there's a Mercado Plaza Juárez, a small flea market that has quite some good products there. I always buy my hats there. We're arriving then to the southern end of what is called the Malecon II, Malecon II, number 2, and we are setting then foot on within the downtown area, in the Malecon II. This big building on the right side is a parking lot, what do you call those? Parking building? Estacionamiento. And this piece here all the way to Zaragoza is called then the Malecon II, Malecon II, a more recent extension of the Malecon. There are a few sculptures along the way. In the past, there was one of a famous, the number 1 golfer from Jalisco, from Guadalajara, was here. Agustin Rodriguez is the street. It's no longer there, the statue. From what I've heard, it's been moved over to the Marriott. The sculpture was made by Octavio Gonzalez, the same person in charge of the Vallarta whale that's at the marina. We're coming up to another sculpture, call them sculptures, made by Jose Ramis Barquet, who has another statue, another sculpture further up the Malecon, very famous one called Nostalgia. This one's called San Pascual Bailon, the patron saint of the cooks, chefs, and bakers. That's why he has a piece of bread in his hand. And so we're continuing northward. There are these food stands along the way. I always buy my ice cream here. They're very good. They have other things. Another sculpture here called erizados. Erizados means that something is like standing up when your hairs stand up on your arms. They're erizados. But it also sounds like erizo, which is a sea urchin. So it's a wordplay mixing the act of standing up and the sea creature. Blue is an artist very interested in marine life. Most of her sculptures have something to do with the sea. Now we're arriving at the corner of Agustin Rodriguez, isn't it? Or Libertad, and we have this other sculpture by Jim Demetro, the same sculptor that made the washerwoman that's right on the other side of the river. The Vallarta Dancers is inspired in the local folkloric dances. Here we have the fishmongers, a mosaic designed by Manuel Lepe Macedo, the most famous Puerto Vallarta artist. We're then arriving at the end of the Malecon II, Malecon II, here right on the corner of Zaragoza Street. And the real Malecon starts now, from Zaragoza northward. This is the Friendship Fountain. James Bottoms and Octavio Gonzalez are in charge of that piece, of the sculpture. Octavio explained that it's they sent the molds of the statue that's in Santa Barbara, because that's what do you call them? The twin cities, I think they're called, or when they're partner cities. With Puerto Vallarta is a partner city of Santa Barbara, and they sent then the molds of the dolphin fountain they have in the city to Puerto Vallarta, but they arrived broken. So he repaired them, and there was no guidance as to how to put the pieces. So he sort of put them how he felt it was best. So even though the dolphins are more or less the same, it doesn't look exactly the same as the sculpture in Santa Barbara. Here we're in the Amphitheater, the open air theater. Here there's a lot of events and shows, and it's sort of a center of activity mainly at night and the afternoon, but it's also used during the day at times, at least the weekends. Most celebrations, city celebrations, are centered around the amphitheater. You can see the parish in the background, the main square here with the screen, and then the city hall right beside the Presidencia Municipal, and the seahorse a little bit along the way. So this is the downtown, the main downtown area, I would say, center of town. This piece between Zaragoza and Galeana is flanked by Morelos Street and the sea on the left side, Morelos Street on the right side. Morelos is then, I would say, the only place on the Malecon where you have cars driving right beside the Malecon. The rest is pedestrian and has no cars, and the same in the southern area. Malecon II and the extension beyond in the romantic zone don't have any cars alongside. So I like it when you don't have to worry about cars. Do take care with the bicycles though, especially in the piece that goes from Galeana north. There's a designated area for bicycles. Not many take that into account, but I would recommend taking care. It's best. Here we're arriving at the city sign, Puerto Vallarta, designed by Carlos Terres, the same person in charge of replacing the crown on the parish. And we have in the middle the boy on the seahorse by Rafael Samarripa, installed on Malecon 1976, the first sculpture on the Malecon. The designs on the typefaces on the letters are by Manuel Lepe Macedo, same person with the fishmonger mosaic, a little by the Naval Museum that I just mentioned. You can see here the next statue along the way is Triton, Triton and Siren, Triton y Sirena, by Carlos Espino from 1990. It was installed on the Malecon. It was a place for a long time, or at least 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit more, on the corner of Abasolo by the Mandala, but it's been moved back to its more or less its original location here on the corner of Mina Street and Morelos. You can see some sand sculptures. It's still in process. Scaffolding. The wishing well. This one's not finished yet. And there's a variable amount of, there's no way of knowing when you'll have sand sculptures on the Malecon. They come and go. There's also a popular area for balancing rocks. This is a shot between the Malecon Lighthouse and Corona Street. There's a new sculpture here by Jovian called Lluvia, Rain, and from what the artist says, it tries to represent both the enjoyment of nature, rain, and the elements and what life has to provide, and the friendly disposition of the local people that open their arms to all that come and visit them and live here in the city. The friendliest city, they say. A title they liked and have kept since it was mentioned in a magazine, in Condé Nast magazine, traveler magazine, at some point, and nobody forgot it. But it's true. It's true that the locals are very kind, and it's a nice, happy city. We have to do the same when we are there. Enjoy it and be happy, and keep the spirit alive. Here we can see a nice shot of the Malecon. Moving northward. This is Aldama, until Aldama. We are on the corner of Corona and the Malecon. We recognize it because of the Sergio Bustamante sculpture. Call it the ladder sculpture, but it's actually called En Busca de la Razón, which would be translated as searching for reason or in search of reason. On Puerto Vallarta Net, we have a guide of all the sculptures on the Malecon and around town, and there's a little bit of an explanation of the inspiration of Sergio Bustamante and the sculpture. No, there's it's very popular, and it's almost a tradition to get your photo shot there while you're climbing the ladder too. Kids enjoy the Malecon. Don't have to worry about cars or taxis or buses. We're seeing a little bit of a beach here beside the Malecon. It's called the Playa El Malecon Beach, or in Spanish, the beach of the Malecon, Playa del Malecon. Here's a very nice group of sculptures, 8 sculptures by Alejandro Colunga. The Rotunda of the Sea, and he's a very well-known artist in the city. He lived many years in Puerto Vallarta and is from Guadalajara. Very eccentric artist. I like these sculptures, and it's fun to sit down on them, and you can see that they've been used a lot because they're polished. And it's also the intention of the artist to have you interact with this sculpture. He has a few other equivalents in Guadalajara, one in Plaza del Sol and another by Instituto Cabañas. They're not exactly the same, of course. They're just the same concept. You have the Vaquita, the zoo, and mandala all together here. Very popular at night. As a place to come and dance and drink and party a bit. This is on the corner of Abasolo Street. You can see we arrive at Josef Ortiz de Dominguez. It's a little further along. We'll get there. On the corner of Abasolo, we have this Nature as Mother from Adrián Reynoso. The sculpture was here a long time, and when they remodeled the Malecon, they moved it to the square in a neighborhood called Colonia Infonavit. And since then, then they installed the Triton and Siren there by the mandala, and now they moved that one to the corner of Mina, and the Naturaleza como Mother as Nature has been replaced in its original location there on the corner of Abasolo. We're continuing along the way northward, and we're arriving at Josefa Ortiz de Dominguez, on the corner of Josefa Ortiz de Dominguez, where we find the unicorn of good fortune, or the good luck unicorn, by Aníbal Ribeling. He designed it, and it's relatively new. I think it's from 2011. It's been placed here on the Malecon, and recently they built this higher base for the sculpture because people were riding the little unicorn, and it's not made of metal. This one is a special material that doesn't stand too much abuse. So they've tried to have people stop using it as a horse for riding. You can do that on the burrito there on Plaza Lázaro Cárdenas. There's a burrito. There's a sculpture where it's actually made for that, but not this one. In any case, so here we're arriving at Leona Vicario Street, where we have the subtle stone eater or rock eater. Stone eater. The subtle stone eater by the artist from Guadalajara, Jonás Gutiérrez. Between this was Leona Vicario and Pipila, we have on our left the Papantla pole flyers, or the voladores de Papantla. They have shows from 10:30 to 2 in the afternoon, from 6 to 10:30 in the night, every 15 minutes. All the members are from Papantla, the town in Veracruz, in the state of Veracruz. It's an old pre-Columbian tradition. There's a lot behind it. It's not a simple idea. It's a whole ritual. There's an article on it in the website too. Nostalgia, José Ramírez Marquet. the same person in charge of the sculpture by Vitae, the San Pascual Bailon, no, the patron saint of cooks. In this case, Nostalgia has a story. It's about himself and his wife Nelly, and they're sitting together there. It should be the other way around, looking at the sea, no? But they didn't take that into account. But they were looking at the sea, imagining what the future had in store for them. Another sand sculpture, and another wishing well. We're now close to Allende Street, which is the corner there with La Bodeguita del Medio, and this sculpture called Origen y Destino, Origin and Destination, by the local artist called Pedro Tello. Originally was an 8 sculpture design within a lagoon, but because of technical and financial constraints, it was limited to these 5 sculptures. They were all interactive in one or another way, and well, that's a sculpture. Now the whale, for example, if you press the tongue, it would throw like a, what do you call it, like a whale, throw water up, a spray of water, but it doesn't work anymore. It's not easy to keep things working in weather like Puerto Vallarta, and with a lot of people using it, no? So we're almost at the end of the Malecon, the northern end of the Malecon. The end of the Malecon is by Calle 31 de Octubre. That would be the October 31st Street, 31 Octubre Street, and on the other, right by the other side of the Hotel Rosita. We'll continue a little bit along 31 Octubre Street towards the Millennia Sculpture. So we can see that, and we'll show the beach, Playa del Malecon, El Malecon Beach, so you can see it from the northern end too. We're advancing. We can see it on this shot from above, the end of the Malecon, 31 Octubre Street, perpendicular, and then the sculpture right on the left end, now in the middle. Here's the sculpture, Los Milenios, the Millennia, by Matisse Lidis, or Lidis, the pseudonym of a local artist, Felix Baños, which represents the passage of time, the millennia, and with 3 important people from each one of them, and the last millennia being represented by a woman and a dove, representing peace. Here's the Malecon Beach. This is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like it, share it, comment on it, subscribe to our channel so you know when we publish new videos. Thank you very much. Bye bye.